CalazCon is a show about war, obsession, colonialist occupation, and the many forms of violence those inflict. See the description for content warnings specific to this episode.
Hello listeners and welcome to CalazCon. I am your GM, Elspeth, pronouns she, her. Today I'm joined by Don.
Hi, I'm Don, pronouns are he and him.
And Sabriel.
Hi, I'm Sabriel. My pronouns are she and her. I do not have a social media at which you can find me, but if you'd like to read my work, you can read it at clotserial.wordpress.com, which is my serialized web fiction, Clot, a family demonography.
And Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt, pronouns he, him. I also don't have a social media you can find me on, but if you want to hear a different Beam Saber actual play I'm involved with, you can find Admiralty Blues wherever you find your podcasts.
And finally, Philo.
Hello, I'm Philo T. Hazard. I'm coming at this with a real different energy than last time. I'm good, I'm centered. I use the they and the thems. If you like Beam Saber, and if not, why? How did you find it? Then, I have done 2 Beam Saber supply drops. I've done, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. And I've just started Beam Sides, which will also be some playbooks with the Beam Sabers.
I will probably be out by this time this episode releases.
I mean, it's out now.
I have read Clot, and I have played one of Philo's different mecha games, and they're both very good. I would recommend investigating them.
Oh, that's very sweet of you.
We would also like to thank our squad sponsor, Lily Young. If you'd like to financially support the show, you can find our Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. So, with that out of the way, you won. You defeated the 501st last mission, and victory feels great, right? Everyone's doing great right now. That's the impression I got. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Victory has never felt better.
I feel like this game, CalazCon overall, has really been overusing the we did it, Patrick, we saved the city image, but we did it, Patrick, we saved the city.
Hey, the giant Doomsday Plasma Bolt went off really far away from us. That was fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although I think we did end last session with Michael heading towards where Julius was to try and get him immediately into some kind of help. Medic!
Do we want to play that out, or should we have Mike yell at Julius later?
Oh, there's going to be some yelling at Julius later as well, I'm sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think for the end of the scramble, we get some shots of just everyone standing aghast in the rubble of the Hive, who you were safeguarding, and your beloved direct superior, Renee Standing Stone, being led out of like whatever storage cupboard or basement they were hiding out in.
I was wondering what happened to them.
The problems that you had were other problems. Let's put it that way.
The problems we had were calculated, but man.
I think we get a shot of Renee just looking around for absolute carnage in horror, and then doing like a really over theatrical, like hand trembling, like wiping a tear from his eye. There's a gif I'm thinking of. The guy doing a really overwrought salute. I don't know what it's from, but you know what I mean.
I think, can we maybe, like, kill this man on our, like, way out of this planet, maybe?
We'll see.
Drop the hotel on him.
I kind of like the idea that he's doing this very tearful salute, but all of a sudden, like, one of the doors gets kicked in, and, like, Julius being, like, carried by, like, Mike and whatever members of Board Squadron around to, like, demand a medic, and he's just immediately shoved out of the way as a mass of the actual people who've been fighting push past him to try and get Julius some healing, whilst medic is being like, yelped.
Is this how we get our doctor? Like, it's somebody from the Hive volunteers.
I kind of like that. We did have the Hive around this mission, didn't we?
Yeah, because we took some squad upgrades, and we had because of Heart and Minds, we get cohorts for only one upgrade, which means we're going for an infirmary and a doctor. So I kind of like the idea that, you know, there's one of the suites, like maybe there's a room that's maybe got some of this kind of equipment in it. Because this was a hotel, they probably have got one. We've not been able to, like, use it properly. So, you know, we're shoving stuff off tables. And, like, maybe if we do get one of, like, these Hive cohorts, you know, because we have done Hearts and Minds to join us, we might be able to, like, now have the ability to turn, like, what was, like, a storeroom into something that's actually usable.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like the idea of, like, the Hive as they're being escorted out, seeing this carnage and just one of them just being so shocked that, wait, you did all of that and now you don't have a doctor. You don't know what you're doing. You're about to thread that, like, IV thing upside down or something. I can imagine someone just rushing in all the chaos and just being like, no, I need to take over from here. Thanks. I'll catch up with the rest of the guys from the Hive. You need some help.
Chasing all the, like, grunts and stuff out of the room. Just, no, you're doing it wrong. Someone is going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially since, I think, as you pointed out, Philo, off mic, like, because we've got Blood Brothers, all of our cohorts get the Tufts type for free. So I don't know if they're, like, an ex-military doctor or they've been something like that. And the Edges, they've gone for a fearsome and principled. So I can imagine actually, like, being quite an imposing presence and physically shoving some of these people out of the way, like, just completely face planting them out of the way.
Yeah. Which is interesting given the sort of... You had some rough times with the Hive during your previous mission, where your gang of toughs nearly opened fire on all of them.
We did, like, kind of not only protect the base, we spent a lot of resistances, like, making sure it didn't get any more damage than it could. Like, the plasma beams going off far away from the base, like, that could potentially turn one of the more, like, on the fence people, like, in favour as, like, okay, these dickheads need my help.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hive aren't necessarily a monolith, right? There's a
Yeah,
lot
exactly.
Exactly, yeah. So do we have a name for this Hive member who decides to stay around as your doctor? Finally gets your infirmary together?
I think we've gone for Dr. Martin Rollins.
Dr. Martin Mullins.
Or some noises were.
I don't know if we have done that.
Okay. Sabriel, do you have an alternative suggestion?
Dr. Martin Bagina.
Okay. Alright.
Was that actually me jumping the gun on that one, Sabriel, or...
I mean, I don't know that we actually did. That was the first time I heard that name.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought I'd said it before.
I don't know that you did.
Gotta get that name absolutely perfect.
That's his name. Doctor.
My apologies, I thought I
Perfect.
had mentioned that before the thing.
Dr. Martin Perfect.
Dr. Martin Perfect, I kind of like.
Oh,
It's spelt with a K.
yeah.
Perfect with a K? Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Dr.
that's a good name.
Martin Perfect. Really not the name you would expect from someone who, like, will punch your illness to death. But, I'll take it.
I think for now, I think a good introduction to Dr. Martin Perfington to the sort of time that he's going to have here working for you is, I feel like we maybe just get a shot of him, like, looking at Julius lying on a stretcher and, like, stripping or cutting through your uniform to get to the wound, Julius, and just saying, so, how exactly was the injury sustained during the mission?
Someone else has got to answer that. I am out cold.
Mike looks at him and goes, stupidity.
Yes, I can see that, and I suppose I don't really need anything else. Just completely neglecting to mention, like, oh, no, that wound's been there for a while.
Only, like, not that much longer than the stab wounds. I have two
It's
for the
probably
benefit
like
of the
hours.
listener. For the benefit of the listener, I have gut shot and stabbed. The first one is a level 3 harm, the second one is a level 2 harm. Gut shot was sustained 2 missions ago. But those missions were only a couple hours apart.
True.
But the stabbed is noticeably... That happened 15 minutes ago.
Well, I have a feeling we'll be hearing a lot more from Dr. Perfect this downtime. So, who has...
That's the name of the spin-off podcast, Hearing from Dr. Perfect.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Who has a downtime activity that they want to set the ball rolling with?
Oh, actually, I realised we forgot to do the free...
Upkeep.
Oh, upkeep and whatnot?
Clear level 1 stuff.
Yeah.
And spend material to refresh quirks.
I've got 2 quirks spent. Does anyone mind if I spend one to refresh those ahead of potentially...
I also need to refresh some quirks.
Yeah, same here.
I've burnt 3. Well, that's 4 material right there, huh?
Damn.
Damn.
So, sounds like you're all rolling a d6 and hoping that you roll enough.
Am I right for upkeep that you just refresh the number of quirks that you roll?
Yep.
Neat. That's a 4 for me, so I'm all tidied up.
Same here. Got exactly what I needed.
4 for me too.
I also got a 4. Beautiful.
It's all 4s.
Okay, so with that sorted, who's got a downtime activity you'd like to do?
I'd like to be less gut shot.
Understandable.
What is our man's quality? Because I'd be rolling that, right?
Tier of the squad, isn't it?
But is it 1 higher because we're looking at a specialist and not a fire team?
Yes, and then 1 higher again because of
yes.
the infirmary upgrade.
Yeah. So...
Tier +1, yes. No, infirmary makes it so that we roll an additional dice.
So this is at a generic roll.
Yep.
5, a 1, a 4, and a 4.
Alright.
Which does fuck all.
You can put
correct?
2 segments in on your healing clock, so you're halfway to...
Fantastic.
If you wanted to spend another personnel to take another one of those, you wouldn't be blamed. Oh, actually, is there another 1d6 from someone assisting that we could get on as well, actually?
I don't know who's equipped
Well,
to
I already
help with
rolled
this
it.
one. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need to spend a personnel. Like, that was just one of my downtime actions. I probably will be spending personnel later so I could do some interesting downtime actions. But I'd like to roll again if nobody minds.
If you want help with this, I'm confident that Ipse has basic training on how to treat bullet wounds and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah,
It's
I
the
can
Mr.
see that.
Krabs game, where it's all of you out, except for Ipse. You can stay.
Exactly the kind
Yeah.
of thing you would upload into a bodyguarding robot is how to treat a bullet wound.
So 5 dice this time?
Yeah. Yeah, go for it.
1, 5, 2, 5, 3.
Well,
Nary a 6 to be found. However, that does fill my healing clock, so that does reduce everything down a little bit.
The level 3 will become a level 2, and the level 2 will become a level 1, right?
yes.
Yeah. What is how do you reduce gut shot?
Got grazed.
Tummy hurty.
God damn, I was
Winded.
just about to make that joke.
This is happening over quite a short period of time that I imagine that Julius is going to be back in the field, right? So is this potentially using some kind of tech? Like a filler foam, almost?
They put nanomachines in my guts?
I mean, I feel we can maybe just go with level 2 harm bandaged, because that's not technically an injury, but it still gets across what's going on and why it's a problem.
I'm gonna go with heavily bandaged. And stabbed, I guess, reduces down to, like...
Tummy hurting.
I was going to suggest something with, like, stitches.
Like slashed.
Leg hurting.
Slashed, limping.
Oh, yeah,
Limping is
What about
good.
stitched up?
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh,
Limping's also good. I like limping a lot.
limping is very, like... If you're stitched in your leg, what does that look like? Limping is a very visual.
Yeah, limping's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. Heavily bandaged and limping. That's my man.
Uh-huh.
I might want to take another action later, but I think for now I am going to leave it there, because that just, like, fictionally puts Julius in a position where he is not just, like, bedbound.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I also have a point I would like to raise. We have a whole bunch of mechs around that presumably our enemies left when we killed them. Can we sell those?
I mean, it'd be salvaged probably, right?
It depends on the state you left them in.
Force Majeure's mech is definitely sellable, because I killed that dude outside his cockpit.
Also, fake Major.
I believe, False Major also was defeated via the Goonades, which means...
Yeah, true. They would be relatively. I think you shot them up a little at some point.
I shot a little bit, but
yeah.
the focus was on the other one, so...
Alright, time to make some fucking money.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think for now what this initial burst of recovery looks like is Dr. Perfect ordering in some new supplies with the new resources you have. You've got a lot more funds than the Hive did, so he doesn't waste any time getting good stuff in, figuring out how it works. Picturing some sort of, like, nano mesh goop thing being applied to your stomach, Julius, with Ipse as, like, an assistant.
Alright, they gooped me.
And while this is happening, Dr. Perfect says, "So, you agree with your colleague's assessment, then?"
Heavy hacking cough. If that is how Michael chooses to understand the situation.
I also like how at no point was it said this was a comment from Michael. You have just assumed correctly.
Oh, yeah.
Was in fact.
Yeah.
I take it from your response that I can't really ask you not to do it again.
It's my job.
I think some would say that your job is also to keep yourself capable, and if it wasn't for the sheer chance of me being here to witness this, well, travesty, to put it frankly, you would very much not be capable.
My job is to fight for the DFS and to give my life if required.
Well, I understand the first half. I ask that you, at the very least, maybe take your time a little bit more with the second half.
I think Julius laughs very dryly. Very, that's a good joke, Doctor.
Anyone have any other repairs or body repairs, flesh repairs that they need to do?
Oh, I'd love to repair my flesh. It's one of my 6 favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's wrong with it again?
I'm dissociating.
And how do you intend to do that?
I was going to goof that's a cutaway to True sitting on a therapist's couch being like, and I just feel like I continue to put up walls between them, And it's a cutaway to Dr. Perfect, still stitching up Julius, stood next to the therapist's couch, working 2 shifts.
No, that's fully where I was going. Have we walked into a
Oh,
position
boy.
where Dr. Perfect is doubling as a counsellor? Is that how this happens?
Well, he does have a theoretical degree in counselling as well. Sure, why not? I don't know how one does. Trust me, if I knew how people resolved the level 2 harm dissociating, we'd be in a lot of an easier state.
God.
I severely doubt that's how True does fix it, but I don't know how one goes about fixing dissociating.
I mean, we don't have to be explicit on camera.
Yeah.
I think it's just grounding exercise. I think it is True in the truck by herself. Maybe she has something from Dr. Perfect, I'm not sure what.
Space Ativan.
Or checking in like once a day or once every few hours.
You get an extra dice on this because with the infirmary and with Dr. Perfect's acquisitions, The whole squad also got a subscription to Headspace, the free mindfulness service that you can... We're not sponsored.
Boom.
I need to stop this. We're not. No.
No.
Going on record, fuck Headspace.
Yeah. Right.
Sue us.
Fuck
Please
it.
don't.
Yeah, it is true doing like grounding shit to try and get back into the correct headspace. And we'll see how that works out. It would presumably be the same where it's 46, right?
5 if you got someone to help.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure that True would.
Technically you're recovering, but fictionally, is the infirmary or your cohort helping?
I think more likely Dr. P than the infirmary itself. I don't think it's True takes antidepressants and feels better.
Yeah, I think maybe...
So maybe like 3d6 instead or something?
Yeah, I think you talk about these grounding exercises, and I think Dr. Perfect definitely knows a few, can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Dr. Perfect is busy fixing a dying man.
Yeah. That's a 2, a 2, and a 3.
Yeah, I guess is that one check in a 4-step recovery clock?
It sure is.
Dang.
Yeah, do you want to throw in another?
I mean, it can't get worse, right?
True.
It's been maybe a day, and maybe she does go and find Michael after that, and maybe just talk. And, I don't necessarily think it's zooming in on what that is, but I think she is trying to talk through her feelings about Longreach and the cannon. Maybe this does need to be a cut loose at some point, in fairness, but at least for now, this is what she's trying to do. She's trying to get back to herself by thinking about all the stuff that is blocking her from herself.
Yeah.
So maybe that's 46 instead, with her good friend Mikey?
Yeah. I think that when we do a cut loose, if one... Oh, sick. That is a 6 on that roll, so dissociated goes down to level 1.
A 3-1-2-6, so that last Michael help.
Yeah.
Michael stepping in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think the level 1 version of the level 2 harm dissociating is?
Zoned the fuck out.
Yeah, zoned.
I say tired, but then, that invites questions. Why doesn't everyone have level 1 harm all the time,
Detached?
Yeah.
Detached, I like.
Distant?
Distant, yeah, detached, that works. Michael or Ipse, anything you want to cross off your to-do list?
Oh, for sure. There's a bunch of stuff, and I'm eyeing up those personnel for maybe long-term project stuff, because I also have got a couple of, cut loose adjacent scenes that I want to do. I'm currently on 7 stress, and I want to have a scene with Julius, and there's also a scene with Ipse I want to do as well. I'm not sure if either of you two are planning on doing cut looses as well, where we could do it from the other side, or...
I have a cut loose I want to do. I think it makes sense to do it with Mike.
I'm pretty sure I want to cut loose, but I don't exactly have a scene in mind yet, so that's something I definitely want to do.
I have a scene for a cut loose between Ipse and Michael, given the situation that's gone down, particularly regarding Sir.
Yep.
And I think that Julius is still out at this point, and maybe, obviously, we go backwards and forwards with flashbacks in terms of, the timings of...
My other to-do is I want to find out about this AI and maybe talk to Sir and figure that stuff out.
This is going to be what this is to do with, I think. This is going to be Mike basically taking Ipse aside and basically being like, Ipse, look, I know you got real caught up with the Southern Front, the end of the last mission, but yeah, we need to talk about Sir.
Yeah, I agree. I've already received a basic outline of what occurred, and I saw the effects, but, well, what we do next, I suppose, is still in question. And how best we utilize this development with Sir.
I know. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, Ipse. I feel kind of bad about putting it straight into the gun. I assumed that it was gonna come out and it was gonna be like kind of like a baby or an algorithm we could teach it, but it's come out pretty full formed, and frankly, it's kind of sassy. It had opinions about being put into a weapon straight away, and don't get me wrong, they did the thing, but I wanted to do something for it that wasn't just, hey, we've put you in a gun to shoot our enemies. So, like, I was planning, and, Michael's got, like, I think he's holding, like, I don't know if this would be, like, yeah, it would be an old taped VHS, because I don't think we're getting, like, the latest, like, sports, or are we getting, like, the latest sports over here on this planet?
I feel like it's, like, not so bad that you're on VHS, but you're on, like... I mean, it probably depends on where the sport is happening. Like, this kind of sport that Michael follows is probably a long way away. So you're maybe you're a month or so behind.
Yeah. Because Mike's a big sports fan. It's a little bit Calvin Ball. There's the sport that he follows. We've not fully spec'd it out yet. It's a leave blank spaces. But we do know that he very much follows a team called the Bastock Ironmongers. They're in a fierce rivalry with, like, the Bastock prospectors. And it would be somewhat contrived, but kind of interesting if they've had a derby match against each other at some point in the past month, and Mike's not had a chance to watch it yet. And it's like, he wants to go and, like, watch this sports game with Sir and Ipse and, like, do something that isn't just... He wants to treat Sir like not just a weapon, right?
Yeah, okay.
And this is kind of the kind of bonding ritual that he's kind of grown up with, right? It's the first thing that comes to his mind.
Like, you're gonna show your new gun child the sports ball and try and get it interested in your hobbies. That's
exactly, right? Yeah. I think it's what his dad did with him, and I don't know how much we're leaning into the gun child point of view, but you can definitely look and see that, right? And I think that's where Mike's brain is going, and, like, there's definitely part of him. We've talked about how there's a childlike element to the relationship between True and Longreach, and I think, especially as Mike knows True quite well, I think Mike is also starting to feel this. So yeah, I think it is. He wants to go to the ball game with his gun child.
No.
Oh no.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, so do we just cut to, like, the two of you on, like, a sofa in the operations room of the siege
we've got someone to bring a sofa
in front of a TV.
It's like Birdie and Spouse, well, like, not Birdie, but, like, some of the lower ranking members of Board Squadron have been asked to carry this sofa.
God.
What a perfect scene. Yep.
Michael definitely wants Ipse to be here as well, because Ipse's also been involved, like, in... I don't want to say creation, because that's not quite right, but, like, in this whole situation regarding Sir, right? Like, Ipse, also has an input here. I don't know if that's the way that you also see it, Don, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely see it that way, and I think Ipse is more than anything kind of curious to know how this turned out, how Sir is doing. So I'm coming for that reason, but I do also appreciate the invite to spend time with Mike and, again, do something that isn't just focusing on military and healing people and repairs and things like that. So yeah.
I think we cut to two of you on a sofa. I think that we hear the muffled sounds of, like, a sports game on a television, and then Sir says, I do think that bat feels like a terribly inefficient way to stop a ball.
It's not just about the efficiency, sometimes it's about the art, sir.
Point taken, but I was thinking if there'd be a certain art and grace to, say, using small caliber munitions. Now, before you ask, I've done my research, and I know they did try that. They did try that. I watched a few gunball matches, but the gunball matches, when the Gunball League, and we don't need to talk about how the Gunball League ended. I did my research thoroughly. I know what happened to Gunball. But for that, they were using a sort of, like, soft pellet shotgun, whereas I was more thinking it might be more impressive if you had more like a sports pistol or something.
Certainly more. Mike at first is, because he's also aware of how the Gunball League ended. The owner shouldn't have divested into the Gunball League and their other promotions at the same time. It just completely fell over. It was ridiculous, and that the scandals. It was just a perfect storm. But Mike, putting that aside, is thinking, maybe that would work. You might be onto something there.
I thought so too. Unfortunately, again, I've done my research. I don't think there's a viable pitch that hasn't been subject to significant shelling for at least 50 miles around.
One more reason to get off this planet, huh?
Yes. Yeah, I suppose it is.
You know we're not going to leave you in here, right? I've got some plans in mind already. I'm glad you're here as well, actually, Ipsa. I was thinking, and I'm assuming this is after the game is sort of finished. If this could come up, like, I am thinking of like putting together a different body for you, sir. It feels right to ask your opinion on it, and Ipsa, I really trust your judgment on this as well.
Were you wanting to, I don't know, Michael, examine me for inspiration, technical, schematic? Is that what you're suggesting here?
I mean, Michael looks very flustered for the moment. I mean, that wasn't straight necessarily exactly what I was saying. But that might be useful. It's more of your, I was assuming humanoid, because generally that's where all of our buildings are built for. But, I don't want to make any assumptions. I just, I've got to be honest with you, sir. I'm kind of a little bit out of my depth on this, and I was Ipsa. I was hoping you'd have a perspective to stop me putting my foot in it.
I mean, maybe I can help a little. I also wanted to chat a little, Ipsa. You'll forgive me for intruding, but I noticed Michael's talking about leaving and what happens next, and well, I couldn't help but notice that you don't look exactly like you're from around here. You, originally, when you were born, people had something else in mind for you too, right?
That's right, sir. Well observed. I was not made here. I was made off-world. I served another purpose, but that came to an end, unforeseen circumstances, and, well, then I found a purpose here, and when the war here is over, I don't yet know where I'll go, but I don't think I'll need to stay here once we are victorious.
But do you feel like you're really doing something different to what they wanted you to do? Or is it the same thing with the nouns and the specifics swapped around?
I do not know exactly what it was my creators had in mind for me. I do not know what they saw me doing after I no longer had someone to guard. So I suppose it's impossible to say, but all I know is that I followed my own path to get here. I followed the things I thought were right to do, and I hope I will continue to do that. I do not think it would be right to really view it any other way. My observation of humans as well indicates that they tend to follow paths that build from one period of their life to another. There's no reason that anyone here will not take another step in their life after this war that does not follow on from a thing they were doing here. I think this is fine. I think we should embrace it too.
So, you're saying it felt like you couldn't exactly have a clean break from what you were doing before, but in the end it didn't really matter?
I do not think I ever desired a clean break. I followed what I felt was right. And if that feeling was some inbuilt aspect of my programming that I am not capable of understanding from an objective perspective, then I do not see the difference between that and any emotion. So,
well, thanks. You've given me a lot to think about.
Yes. Well, I hope you're able to find a path that suits you as well. We put you here, and you've already demonstrated your capabilities and willingness to assist. if you want to do something else after this is over, then I'm sure me and Michael can assist you, and whether that requires the production of a new body for you, as Michael's already offered, I'm sure we could help.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually kind of already had some ideas about that, and I think you've settled them a little. Can I confide in the two of you for just a moment?
Of course.
See, I am very glad to be doing the whole existing thing. Obviously, very grateful. Don't begrudge that at all. But at the same time, and it seems like this is something you're aware of and something that you've grappled with, doing the whole, oh, quick, wake up, fire the gun. By the way, you aren't a gun, we don't need to be a gun. We're just going to make sure that your first formative memory is of being and firing a huge gun. Completely unrelated, we promise. Don't worry about it. I feel like you're aware, but some people would call that a little disingenuous.
Michael gets a look on his face. You know what, sir? That is fair. You know, I have to be honest, I didn't necessarily think it was going to pan out this way. This wasn't the plan. You know, I tried to not put as much pressure on you. You know, you point out that we were asking you to cut a blade of grass with a guillotine. That's how you put it, right? I didn't want that pressure to be on you. That's why we changed the target. I didn't want to have that amount of pressure on you. But yeah, you're right. We did. For all of our words, we did put you in the gun straight away. Like that. I did. This isn't on you, Ipsy. This one's on me. And genuinely, sir, and Mike's is not sure how you would look, sir, in the eyes at the moment. I think he settles on one of the cameras. I'm sorry. All right, that wasn't fair. I mean, you've done your research, right? Sometimes you see life isn't fair, but that's not really an excuse. You know, we were in a desperate situation, and I made that call. But honestly, and puts his hands on both sides of the camera, I'm trying to make it right.
Oh,
looks over to Ipsy and the advice that he's been asking. I don't want to fuck this up.
I step a little closer to Michael and as opposed to Sir's camera, and I address Sir and I say, well, how did it make you feel, firing the gun?
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it, Ipsy? Because, yeah, firing it felt pretty good, but maybe you think I'm being too cynical or suspicious or whatever, but when someone important to you tells you to do a thing and it's pretty clear that they want you to do it, and they look pretty pleased when you fire the big gun and the building across the river explodes, yeah, of course it's going to feel pretty good.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it's me, you know?
Sure.
Which brings me to my point. Michael, you're sorry, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate what you did to get me here. If you want to help me figure out what I want, then I need you to help me get a bit of distance. I see what Ipsy's saying. I get it. I hear it. I don't think it's for me. I need to strike out. On my own. This isn't a you'll never see me again thing. This isn't a you can't ask me for favours, I can't ask you for favours sort of thing. This is I see what you're doing and I respect it. I need to have my own thing going on. You get it?
Sure. I mean, it's going to take a little while to put together any kind of body. We're going to need to get some troops in here to, there's still going to be this big cannon here. It's no longer looking like it's going to explode, which is good. Yeah, you can thank Blue Sky for that one. But what do you mean? How do you want to get out?
I mean, just find another place for me to set up. Not necessarily with a body. For now, I still haven't figured out how I feel about the whole corporeal embodiment thing. I'll get back to you on that one. But just find another place for me to set myself up and figure out what it is I'm doing in this mess of a city.
Sure.
Essentially, speaking as Elspeth, what is being asked here is, if you agree to this is a long-term project to get Sir set up as an independent squad.
Sure. I'm down with that.
Okay. What do you say to Sir, then? And Ipse as well. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that I'm not sure Ipse is convinced that this is the right path still, but I'm going to let this play out because I don't want to say things in front of Mike that would make him think less of me. So I'm probably going to come back and talk to Sir again on my own.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. What about you, Michael?
Michael's immediately gone into thinking about the logistics of this. And Michael's been on enough engineering teams to know you don't make big promises with short timescales. He absolutely gets wanting to get out on your own and stuff like that, but is also aware that there are logistical difficulties in doing that. That's going to basically involve him pulling a bunch of multiple all-nighters, but is willing to go on with it, but is aware it's going to take an amount of time. And also, now we've dealt with this countdown time, and now Sir's been in here and stuff's been moving around. We are in a position where presumably other NPCs who are part of Terminal Company can probably get in and still use this cannon, even if Sir's not in here. Not anywhere near the amount of accuracy that Sir can do. So we'd still potentially have that. And Mike's yeah, I mean, I don't know how, but yeah. And this is perhaps Mike being impulsive and answering too quickly without fully thinking it through the way that Ipse has. But is broadly but it's going to take a little bit of time. You can hold out that long?
Oh, yeah, sure I can. I mean, I'm not expecting much. I'm not expecting, a whole business plan, a farewell basket of supplies, anything like that. Just a decent place for me to set up and settle into what I'm doing. Think of it as a workshop.
Sure, says Mike, saying it once and repeating it to himself. And now Mike's thinking about a project. We've had the AI core in here, we've had it in the van. Mike's thinking about how this could feasibly work now, and is kind of basically lost in his thoughts. I think if we just get a scene of of Ipse and Mike walking back, and Mike just puts his arm on Ipse's shoulder and just goes, "Look, thanks.
You're very welcome, Michael. Anytime."
I should probably roll a dice now, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I've got 1 dot with you. I think I've only got multiple dots of Julius, actually.
Yeah, should we run down your beliefs about each other real quick?
So my belief with Ipse currently is it's naive to think you can change the war. And the one I'm about to put in is I can trust Ipse regarding Sir. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to contextualize this as how well the Bastock Ironmongers did in the actual game. So, high rolls equals wins. That's a 6! Yes!
Ironmongers win!
Ironmongers rule! Yes!
Yeah, they fucked up the prospectors.
We did.
Some insane play happened in the final 5 minutes of the game, and 20 years from now, Space John Boyce is going to make a documentary about it.
Yeah, we can flash back to the match finishing before we had the more in-depth conversation, and everyone's we just get that scene of everyone cheering. Cool. So yeah, that is 6 stress off for me. Brilliant.
Since someone sells some mechs, I just feel like that might be a useful thing to do now before we do more downtime stuff, because we'll know how much money we have.
Yeah, sure.
So what do we have?
In total, you have 3 in varying states of repair. You have Force Majeure's ape, fake Force Majeure who was piloting the scapegoat, and you have the really tall extractor with the 2-handed claymore sword.
That's the one that's in the most disrepair, I imagine.
Yeah, that's one that's the most fucked up for sure.
Your refusal to call them false majeure has been noted.
I didn't mean to declare a stance on this, but I guess I've committed now. So yeah, you've got 3 robots you can sell. The Downtime activity salvage says when you take apart a damaged vehicle for its valuables.
So interestingly, in the full rulebook description, it's like this isn't selling it, and you could sell it for a different thing. But I don't know if it's simpler just to do this as salvage.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could definitely do one salvage for that wrecked one.
Yeah, I was going to say the wrecked one feels more like a salvage.
Yeah. I don't know if it alludes to selling being a mission or maybe a long-term project, but I guess...
It does, that is exactly what it says. Salvage the extractor, the big one. Yeah, that definitely works. And then decide if you think it's worth the effort to do a long-term project to sell the others.
I think it is not.
Mm-hmm.
I think the easiest way to do this, if it makes sense, is just to have Mike take a whole bunch of actions and then just for every one of these we salvage, we just sort of earmark 1 personnel point so that Mike can take the downtime actions he was going to take anyway.
That is a very fair point. Yeah. How do you feel about that, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Right, because he has the highest engineer, so we get the highest result.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Sure.
Yep.
And I've got actions I can take. I've got 2 ready so we can see what we get. And I could get assistance with this, possibly from Ipse, possibly from True, however we want to...
Yeah, I think True could weigh in.
Alright, so shall we start with the big one, the extractor, and roll engineer to see how much your salvage from that is worth?
And that's 4 dice I make it, 3 engineer plus an assist.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
A 4-1-5-5.
Alright, that's 2 supply points from that one.
A 3-2-3-5. True, you really help out with that last one.
Yep, there you go.
Alright.
It's all the grounding techniques I've been doing.
That's 4 supply points in total.
Oh no, 3 because I've used one of those already to do that action, right?
Right, I understand what you're doing.
It's a crit!
Oh, shit!
Alright, down to 2 and then up to 7.
I like to think that Force Majeure just had a bunch of expensive shit.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be... We've stripped it down. It's got gold laminated bullshit inside it, right? It's we're just stealing all of this stuff.
And we just sold it to a cash for gold place.
Yeah.
We just melted it down.
Oh, if we play with the ordering of things, we can cut and see that the sofa is actually taken from inside of this mech. Oh no, it wouldn't have had enough. It might not have had enough space, right? But there's definitely something we take.
I think we need a ton of personnel.
Yeah, I would say another 2 materiel to fill that back up.
Uh-huh.
And then another 5 personnel. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I like it.
So much personnel, but yes.
We've got so much healing to do. And long-term projects as well. Do we want to have maybe a couple of thinking about it of materials on top of that in case people want to do fix actions just thinking about it? But
I mean, we can just change those to material, can't we?
Who's got a busted up mech? I don't.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we
Maybe
put a
some
couple
more
of
material.
those.
Yeah.
You maybe don't know this or aren't immediately aware of it because it might change how you responded to this, but I feel like maybe some of the reason that sells so well is the 501st are barely clinging on after what happened last mission. They are Tier 1 weak hold. They are 1 bad day away from being disbanded effectively.
Well, I've got some bad news because I think they're about to have a bad fucking day.
They still love their commander, so I feel like maybe indirectly, maybe it's like the demand for what you're selling is very high and you're not sure why. But at some point it might occur to you, some desperate 501st people are trying to buy back memorabilia of their commander.
Oh.
Yeah.
I might tie into that for one of my later roles. We'll see.
I'd actually like to bring in something else, because I think True, like Michael, whoever else wants to be there is like in the perimeter where all these mechs were defeated, or in the hangar dismantling them. You're there counting your success and your profits when you get a quick buzz from Birdie on the radio just saying, look outside.
I swear if they're coming to hit us where we live again.
You look outside and you see, looming above the ruined skyscrapers, a familiar RV. It's a CalazCon strafe model, so it's the one that looks kind of like a fighter plane, but if some of the wings could fold downwards to give it 2 legs, and the others could fold forward to give it like
was this
arms.
the early birds last time? Oh.
No, it's one with a rampant lion painted and in a beautiful, distinctive, I think we said red and gold,
oh no!
coat of paint with familiar sort of skates that spark along the ground as it moves. The Hope of Calazar, the RV of Slipaway Bolt, is gliding down the street towards you.
Oh,
Maggie, it's for you.
Mike, it's immediately heading towards his mech.
As you do, I think something you would notice that stops you is it turns a corner and you see the Hope of Calazar is flanked by 2 armoured APC vehicles, which is unusual, and also something's off. Like, we've talked about the Hope of Calazar as being this incredibly graceful, agile machine. You hear a sort of awkward screech and clatter as one of its wing skates, like, catches on something, and you can see the whole RV almost trips and stumbles a little. Just
Mike is immediately,
feels
that's not Slipaway.
wooden in how it's moving. But eventually it pulls up at the perimeter of your FOB with the APCs. Whoever's piloting it tries to do like the smart thing that you might do if you're roller skating, where you turn 180 degrees and brake at the same time.
that's right.
He tries to Akira slide?
Yeah, I was going to say that to Akira slide.
Yes. But doesn't quite do it right, and I think something gets scratched, or like a wall on a building gets knocked in or something.
Ipse, quickly, put me on the speakers, and Mike's just doing a slow clap over the speaker system.
As you do this slow clap, you see someone get out of the APC and another figure dismount from the cockpit of the Hope of Calazar. And you can hear one of them shouting quite loudly. The voice is vaguely familiar, saying like, "Oh, yeah, really great. Really incredible job. So theatric. Why, we have a place on a stage for you." And another much lower voice just saying, "Shut up. We have business." And as both of these figures approach, flanked by probably about 24 infantry piling out from those APCs, you realise that the people approaching you are someone you haven't seen in a very long time. One of them is Sebastian Bangarang. Do you remember who that is?
I remember the name, but
Is
not
he the
anything
fucking
about the
director?
person.
Did I Columbo him?
You did.
Yes,
Did I
Sebastian
Columbo this
Bangarang,
man?
whose portrait I'm dropping the roll 20, is the
yes.
theatre director from your very first mission.
And we're going to be recovering from that last one. We're not going to be able to respond very easily with force to this as well. We're still
Next to him, someone who you've seen a bit more recently is Empress Gold of the Early Birds. You last saw Empress when they interrupted your mission at the Curse for a while when you were attacking the 501st. That was your second mission. And before that, you saw them when they showed up to try to intimidate you into giving the Early Birds your workshop and your testing facility. Immediately, though, this seems like an escalation, not just because they've shown up in Slipaway Bolt's RV, which you will remember was stolen from CalazCon, which is Sebastian Bangerang's squad, but apparently they've reclaimed somehow. But last time Empress showed up with 2 people, and now there's about 24. And they look different as well. Everything looks so much brighter and flashier. I think the best way to imagine this, because we're talking about CalazCon fan paramilitary, is, you know, the classic anime TM school of character design pioneered by Tetsuya Nomura, like Final Fantasy VII onwards all those belts and zippers and pockets on everything.
These Kingdom Hearts looking motherfuckers.
Yeah, that intersecting with the like military tactical trend. So that, but it's like, instead of zippers, it's all ammo pouches and walkie-talkies.
So what if Rob Liefeld made Final Fantasy?
Yes, I guess so. You've heard rumours that the early birds have been picking up their recruitment drive, but you didn't realise that while you were thinking about the 501st, they'd become quite just this ascendant. If you weren't aware, the early birds are a tier 4 squad now.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Who let them do that?
Looks like they finally caught the worm.
Fuck off!
Does True say that?
No.
Fucking commit. Come on.
Let no one question my bit commitment.
So, Empress Gold approaches, flanked by Sebastian Bangerang. Does anyone step forward to speak on behalf of the squad, or are you going to just let them pick someone?
Do we shove Renee out?
No.
Surely,
What?
this is a job for our direct superior.
If nobody stops him, Julius will stump out there on crutches.
I'm just saying, send in the doctor.
Nah, Julius is gonna stump out there on crutches, actually.
This might just be because I've been watching a lot of Planet recently, but there's a bit in that where there's a very tense situation and they're going around divvying out commands and important tasks to the squad, and there's one particularly old and bumbling team member they have where they're just you, yes, do nothing. Oh, amazing, thank you. And I feel like that's what happens with Renee in this moment.
Go back in the bomb shelter.
So we're thinking Renee is going to handle it, but it's not Renee. We see Julius is going out there, and everyone else is now scrambling because, we're in a bad position. We've been caught on the hop. We can't, respond to this in the same way we responded to the last one. Also, they're looking pretty nasty. Michael doesn't really want to ask Sir to do after that last situation we've had. Mike feels hesitant, saying, "Oh, by the way, Sir, can you shoot these people for us?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the last time they just turned up and we got them to go without a fight, and as you say, they're looking kind of... And it doesn't look like they're here to fight, right?
Yeah, they've got out of their RVs, they're approaching calmly. They are flanked by the infantry, but they don't have weapons ready. Not yet, at least.
I guess it's a bunch of scrambling, but yeah, Mike's going to head to the front, but I imagine he's going to get there a little bit later than Julius does, just because he's been caught on the hop. He's got to get back out of his mech. It's oh god.
So Empress Gold sizes two of you up and says, "What do you think of my new ride?"
Looks like you finally caught the worm.
Fuck.
Very good, Michael. I believe you...
It's actually one of True's, but...
All the best things in this life are stolen, in my experience. I believe you and this vehicle are acquainted.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed, to be honest. Thought I was going to have a fancy showdown with its actual pilot. Looks like the current guy you've got doesn't know his wingtips from his arsehole.
Yeah.
The guy I've currently got, who was piloting it, would be myself, Michael.
Pilot it better.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm sure we'll see who'd wear it better in time.
Yes, everybody's mech is very nice. What is it that you want?
It's quite simple. As you can see, we at the Early Birds have become quite good at rescuing what should rightly be ours. But you don't need to think that out yourself, because the most sensible thing for you to do is to hand over your little testing facility thing that you have going on. Genuinely, I believe it would be a very foolish decision not to.
Again with this?
Oh no, this is quite different. You're not the diplomat, are you? Do you need me to explain?
Michael looks confused in a way that leads you to believe that you do indeed need to explain.
I'd appreciate if you were to speak to us using plain language. I have been shot and stabbed.
Yes, well, that's the thing, isn't it? I don't know if you're aware, but everyone saw your little show of fireworks with the 501st. It was impressive, but I'm not sure it'll quite be the best light show this city sees. We've got something quite bold planned. Something really special.
You're an exhausting person to speak to.
Thank you. My point is, there's a lot of people in this city who want whatever you did to do that to the 501st. Or at the very least, they want to make very sure that you don't keep having it. The difference between...
Keep your hands off that, says Michael. He's not happy about the idea of bad things happening to there. Not for once, not for military logistical reasons.
Not my point at all. More, that's the difference between me and them. What I know that every other squad out there clamouring for your murder cannon doesn't know is that I've got a feeling you have very good reasons for not wanting to pull that trick again. Am I wrong?
Mike is attempting to do a poker face. Mike is not very good at poker.
I'll take that as a no. My point is, I am here to ask for a gift nicely. If you do that, then everyone will see that you've been successfully plundered and put back in your place, and all the other people who want whatever destroyed the 501st's base will think you've been taken care of and back off. But if you say no, then they'll think that you still need putting in your place. And when they show up, they won't be as nice as me. They won't climb out of the RV for a little chat. Understood?
I don't know what you think will happen. If someone else comes against us, but you may wish to look at the state of the last people, and yes, I'm sure you have many ominous pronouncements you could make on that subject, but I have a headache. So why don't you tell us what you're going to do to us if we don't give you what you want? Maybe in 10 words or less. Is that something we could manage? 1.
We
2.
won't do anything.
3, 4, 5.
But something will
6,
break
7,
you.
8, 9. Very impressive. Very impressive. Really, just... I didn't know you had it in you.
I thought they were just going to put in like some kind of insult at the end, just to use it for the last word. Honestly, that shows quite a lot of restraint. I respect that.
Very, very impressive. Fuck off.
Okay, so to be clear, this is not I know what you think this is. This is not the entanglement that you've had before.
Okay.
This is show of force. If you say no, then you immediately drop to vendetta with CalazCon and the early birds.
So, the mech directly behind them is empty, correct?
It's a bit behind them, but yes.
Are we all behind the idea of having another vendetta? Because I am, but only because I like to make bad decisions.
Two more vendettas.
Technically, it's two vendettas.
Two more vendettas. Yes, yeah. Listen, we already have one vendetta. It's not like
we
would
already
be
have
losing
two.
We have
vendettas.
Oh, right, yes, because the 501st technically still exists.
Technically.
I will take 4 vendettas. Let's go.
Everyone knows if you get 5 vendettas, you get a free coffee, so I think this is a good idea.
Yep.
Okay, what
I'm
does
down.
this look like?
Fuck off.
Yeah.
I can see Mike feeling threatened, but they're threatening Sir and seem to know something about it. But Mike doesn't want to give up. Like, fuck these guys. We've already seen them off. They want to play some games? Let's play some games.
I think after saying his piece, Julius walks back into the base.
Yeah,
Alright.
same.
Well, we tried.
If they stay around on our territory, I will start firing. I think the truck steps out of the hangar, long reach is raised.
Empress immediately laughs and puts their hands up and says, Alright, we take your point. We'll get out of your hair. If you meet your slip away and can pull them out the bottom of the glass I imagine they're stuck in, tell them I said hi. And they climb back into the Hope of Calazar, which, you notice now, Michael, they've also put, gold rims on the skates.
Oh, that's just tacky.
That is tacky.
I want to declare a rival.
Not again.
I hate this one so much.
How sincere is this?
So...
only 40% sincere.
It's below 50%, that means you don't have to do it.
I don't want to, but I listen. If I have to talk to them again, maybe.
If that's where your instincts go, that's where your instincts go. I mean, my initial reaction to Slipaway was what made me do the rivalry there. I mean, they're talking about Slipaway being at the bottom of a glass. They're still active, right? No one's used drive clocks to do something to the squad or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're still a rival,
What's
right?
happened bookkeeping-wise is CalazCon's squad goal was reclaim the Hope of Calazar, and they finished it. So yes, Slipway's still around,
right.
But I don't know how they're reacting to having their super special ace RV stolen. You could find out, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Char Aznable was still a problem after the Xeon got destroyed, but, not really. It wasn't really a major issue. He didn't counterattack or anything, so I wouldn't worry about it.
That is true. Mike kind of is very disappointed by this and kind of wants to give it back to Slipaway so he can beat
That
them
would
in
be
a
a very
race.
funny long-term project. Did you say they showed up in 2 APCs?
Look, I was just going to say, long-term project, I think you mean your next mission. No. That would be too much. Yes.
Employer, Michael Carmichael.
Yeah, the Hope of Calazar and 2 APCs, that's right, true.
Can I make it 1 APC? If there's no one currently in it, can I just have it be that they're marshalling to leave and one of them blows up?
Yeah, I think you can do that. You're already at Vendetta. Why the fuck not?
Well, that's it. I feel like Vendetta isn't strong words. Vendetta is they turn to their armored vans and one of them is no longer
Yeah,
there.
I'm imagining they're motioning half of their squad towards the van and then it just goes in flames, flies 10 feet into the air.
You know what a bloomin' onion looks like? That.
Perfect.
We gotta get some new adjectives.
So many new adjectives.
Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed we had a +1 status with the
You
last
did!
class before
You
this.
did! They were
Oh,
furious and you
whatever.
stuck with your friends.
Oh, eat shit.
Do you have more enemies than friends?
Yes.
By a significant margin.
Yeah, we have 1 positive status
Yeah.
outside of our faction. And it's Jacob's Junkers, who I don't know if I've even been in the story.
We sold those mechs to them. It's fine.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That would make sense,
Everyone
actually,
else
for
fucking
sure.
hates us, and Jacob is like, yeah, pretty good customers, those guys. Quite like them. Very polite.
Well,
God.
Jacob's Junkers adjective for us is lucrative, so that's
Yeah.
Well, that was all very light.
Always.
Can I cut loose with Mike and make everyone really depressed?
Yeah.
All right. So Julius is, like, not up and around a whole bunch, right? Like, it was very much against Doctor's orders that he went out and yelled at some people in Big Obvies. So, like, do we text? Is there a terminal company group chat? Like, do we text each other?
Awful vibes.
What, in the group chat?
Just for conceptually.
Okay, yeah.
I want to believe that there's a terminal company group chat which is pretty inactive, and a terminal company group chat that doesn't include IPSAVE that's a bit more active.
Oh,
God.
Oh, no! I would never.
Everyone else would, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be drinking again. Honestly, I think that Julius and Mike have an established dynamic, and when they want to be vulnerable, they have to have some alcohol in them first. It's a nice bottle. You don't know where Julius got it. He is sitting on a balcony that does not have any, like... Oh yeah, part of something that happened during the scramble is this balcony just lost all of its guardrails. So it is just like a balcony sitting out like over nothing. And Julius is sitting in Force Majeure's cockpit chair, which is where that ended up. And there's a bottle of something, like, very fancy, right? I think it's probably, like, whatever the much better version of, like, Baron Bastardos brand tequila is.
Is it a gin? Or a whiskey? No, it'd be a whiskey, right?
It'd be a whiskey, yeah. Who drinks gin straight? That's terrifying. It's a whiskey. It's, like, on a little, like, table, I guess, and Julius has already opened the bottle and is, like, you know, made some headway with it.
Yeah. It's also, like, Calazar branded, but it's like those really subtle bits of branding that, like, gaming companies do when they're doing together that gaming merch, but they don't want it to be super overt that it's gaming merch, so it just has a really, like, subtle, embossed Baron Bastardos head on, like, the top left-hand corner of, like, the label, and the rest of it just looks like...
It's the League of Legends brand Coke. You have been invited in to get drunk.
Michael has gone to get drunk. I'm assuming this is not long after this, like the night of this incident happening, presumably. Or are we day drinking?
We're day drinking.
Because, yeah, in which case, I think Mike would be like, yeah, we probably need to talk. And it's like, yeah, I've got to meet me in 5 minutes, meet me in half an hour or whatever.
Yeah, on this guardrail-less balcony.
What are your beliefs of each other?
Michael has no understanding of how the war will crush him, and Michael's dislike of me means he won't judge me for my mistakes.
And mine of Julius are turncoats can't be trusted. I'm watching you, and Julius is here to usurp.
Great.
However, another pertinent one is my belief of Slipway. Is if I want to beat Slipway, I can't do it alone.
Yeah, turns out you need an Empress Gold's help. Yeah. All right. Well, let's just get right into it, shall we?
Sure.
Michael?
Downs one. Julius.
I'd like to ask you for a favor.
What kind of favour?
Well, once I've passed, I'd like you to take the Toru.
Oh, fuck off.
Is that a no?
That's a fuck off.
Alright. I don't know anyone else I can trust it with, to be honest, but I'd rather it not be melted down.
Listen, it's a fantastic mech. Obviously, I'm going to... What it means, Julius, is, of course, if you pass, that's a wonderful mech. I'm very, very keen on finding how you've gotten some of that weight distribution to work. But I didn't pull you out of that rubble, fuck up on my thrusters in front of, like, TFU, who I think are fucking... maybe setting a base around here somehow, for you to fucking be talking that kind of shit. I didn't pull you out in the first place for you to get killed by some fascist cosplayer who thinks a fucking rapier is an appropriate weapon for modern CQC. And you, my friend, you got fucking stabbed by it. He's pointing down towards your leg. What are you talking about? when you pass this bullshit. For me, you're getting stabbed by a rapier, and I get stuck dealing with a bullshit BSE self-destruct countdown surprise, and when I get that sorted, flawlessly I may add, as a special treat, I then nearly get saddled with a comrade's death on my hands because I wasn't fast enough to deal with the aftermath of him doing something stupid, yeah? I'm faster than pretty much everything on this fucking planet, but apparently not for two things. Slip away fucking Bolt, although that might be up in the air now, brilliant, and your poor fucking decision making. You want to know a story? Julius?
Nod.
When Bastok got attacked by the Evangelions, my brother died. He wasn't like me. He was the golden child. He was a musician. He was good, actually. Good enough to actually get out of that town without joining the military. He got, trapped in one of those places that has, basement gigs to seem edgier than they actually are. I was on the other side of town. It was in the middle of a race, actually. And all of us, no matter what group, no matter what gang, just on instinct, when those shells started coming down, on instinct, we abandoned what we were doing. We were all, mostly racing these jailbroken construction mechs, right? So, when this building we were looping around gets the support taken out by the artillery fire, we will get underneath it, huh? We're holding it up so the civvies inside and the folks from the shelters underneath could get out. It took an hour. It took an hour, Julius. By the time we were done, Jason was dead. Crushed in that shitty basement when it finally gave up itself. And here's the fucked up thing, Julius. Here's the thing I didn't even tell True about. It wasn't even that I found out about Jay from the cops after. Like I said, I tried to get there. As soon as I was done, as soon as I could, as soon as I wasn't being held up with something. I couldn't leave. I boosted over there. But in the end, I wasn't fast enough. I held my baby brother in my arms, and he was still fucking warm. And you want to do that to me again? Huh? Someone who, against my better judgment, I don't actually want to see die. When you pass, stop with that talk. Fucking hell. Yeah, you had a fucked up past, alright? That stuff with your partner was nasty. I sympathise, I really do. You know what? I'm kind of having a fucked up present, right? And part of that is because of you. Keep talking about wanting to do your job. You want to do your job? Then do your fucking job. Is that just some kind of bullshit excuse so you can make us complicit in some kind of bullshit Evangelion on a death pact that has to be observed in order to count? You selfish motherfucker. When I pass. Fuck you. With everyone out to get us, with everyone out to get us now, fucking that list is rising. In case you hadn't noticed, our survival here has been on a razor-thin margin. But if anything, these last couple of missions have shown me that together we have an out. You, me, True, Ipsay, Sir, Lilac, Birdie, everyone here at the base, all of us. If you want me to say it, I'll say it. And he jabs his finger. We need you. Get your fucking shit together when I pass. Fuck off. And then he just kind of leaves. Comes back, takes a swig from the whiskey, and then just was like, drop this shit.
Oh, that's beautiful. I was working out what I was gonna say, but it's way better if you just leave. Fuck. Okay. Last image. I think this is the whole scene. Last image. Julius gets up from the chair, right? Takes a drink from the bottle, which is now, I imagine, almost empty after all of that. And then pushes the cockpit chair off the balcony.
Oh. Is that okay? Sorry to cut you off if you
No, that's perfect. Holy shit.
He just didn't want to hear it at all.
The remains of his hairline have been blown back. Oh, incredible. So, I guess I have to roll a dice now.
Yeah, how much stress are you healing from that one?
You know what? At least Michael let off some stress.
That's 3 stress. That's not nothing. I only had 5. I rolled a 1 and a 3.
Yeah. I mean, not to rush you, but what's your new belief about Michael?
Oh, Christ. Yeah, give me some time to work on that.
Yeah.
It's that you're leaving him your mech, right?
Yeah, it's that. It's nothing about what he said changed any of my opinions on him.
Mike sure talked about his brother a lot when I gave him my mech. Anyway.
Thanks for listening to CalazCon. This episode was edited and sound balanced by Christine Blight. You can reach her for voice acting at cvblight@gmail.com. The show's music is by Devin Nelson. You can find them on all social media at Devin Decibel. If you'd like to support CalazCon, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Please tell your friends about the show too. Remember, all glory to Calazar.